Today, we're looking at a growing online phenomenon that sits at the intersection of body image, mental health, drug use, and digital culture. It's called Looksmaxxing. At first glance, the term might sound trivial, even superficial. It can be mistaken for nothing more than grooming tips, gym advice, or social media vanity. But underneath that surface is something much darker, a culture of appearance-based pressure that is shaping how many young men think about their bodies, their worth, and their future. In the age of TikTok, Instagram, and algorithm-driven self-comparison, image has become far more than a matter of style. For some, it has become a source of chronic distress, obsessive self-surveillance, and in some cases, a gateway to risky enhancement drugs, extreme body modification, and worsening mental health. So what exactly is looksmaxing? In simple terms, looksmaxing means trying to maximize physical attractiveness. In many of the online spaces where the term is used, that means improving your appearance to increase what is often called sexual market value, or SMV. The language is clinical, transactional, and often dehumanizing. People are rated, ranked, and compared as if attraction can be reduced to a rigid market system. There are generally two forms of looksmaxing. The first is often called softmaxing. That includes things like better grooming, skincare, exercise, posture, fashion, and healthier habits. On its own, that may sound fairly ordinary. Most people, at some point, want to feel better about how they look. The second is hard maxing, and this is where the risks escalate. Hard maxing involves more extreme interventions: cosmetic surgery, jaw augmentation, chin implants, severe dieting, unlicensed enhancement drugs, peptides, SARMs, human growth hormone, and even dangerous do-it-yourself practices aimed at reshaping the face or body. One of the most disturbing examples is something known as bone smashing, the idea that repeatedly striking facial bones can somehow make the face more chiseled or masculine. It is medically unfounded, dangerous, and likely began as a hoax or meme. But like many harmful ideas online, it has spread beyond fringe forums and into mainstream social media spaces, where vulnerable users may encounter it without any meaningful context or warning. That's important, because looksmaxing is not just a set of behaviors, it is also a worldview. Large online communities devoted to looksmaxing often overlap with the wider manosphere, including incel subcultures and spaces built around self-hatred, rigid hierarchies, and fatalistic thinking. These communities tend to be male-dominated, though women are increasingly exposed to similar appearance pressures in adjacent spaces. The language used in these forums is harsh and deeply revealing. Users talk about mogging, meaning to dominate someone else in terms of appearance. They talk about ascending, meaning to rise through a hierarchy of attractiveness. And they sort people into categories like chads, normies, and subhuman. It is a ranking system built on humiliation, comparison, and the idea that human value is visible, measurable, and fixed. Research and clinical concern increasingly suggest that this kind of content is associated with body dissatisfaction, body dysmorphic symptoms, depression, and in some cases, suicidal thinking. For some young men, looksmaxing becomes not a hobby or self-improvement strategy, but an organizing principle for how they understand rejection, status, and identity. Another deeply troubling feature of these communities is the presence of racialized beauty hierarchies. Certain facial features, lighter skin tones, colored eyes, and so-called European traits are often framed as biologically superior or more desirable. Darker skin, non-white features, or ethnically distinct characteristics may be treated as defects to be corrected. These ideas are often dressed up as objective truths or evolutionary logic, but they are rooted in pseudoscience, racism, and old hierarchies repackaged for the algorithm age. And the algorithm matters here. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram are exceptionally good at amplifying insecurity. Once a user engages with one or two pieces of content about jawlines, attractiveness, gym transformations, or face ratings, the system can quickly feed them more and more of the same. Soon they are immersed in a stream of videos promising jaw hacks, face fixes, or ways to beat your genetics. This is where appearance pressure begins to merge with the online drug market. Influencers and anonymous accounts often monetize insecurity by promoting affiliate links to SARMs, peptides, fat loss compounds, testosterone-related products, and other grey market enhancement substances. These products are marketed as if they are scientific, precise, and relatively safe. Some are sold as research chemicals. Others are framed as advanced self-optimization tools. But the reality is often much riskier. Many young people assume that peptides are safer because they are not described in the same language as steroids. But injectable peptides and human growth hormone products bought from unregulated websites carry serious risks. They may be counterfeit, contaminated, dosed inaccurately, or supplied without sterile equipment. Some may contain entirely different substances from what is listed on the label. Human growth hormone sold online is especially notorious for being fake or substandard. The same is true of SARMs, often marketed as a safer alternative to anabolic steroids. Independent testing has repeatedly found that many products sold as SARMs are mislabeled or adulterated. And even genuine SARMs are not risk-free. They can suppress natural hormone production and produce side effects similar to those associated with steroids, including fertility issues, mood disturbance, and endocrine disruption. That means looksmaxxing is not just an internet trend, it is also a harm reduction issue. Young people caught up in these spaces may already be experimenting with enhancement drugs, cosmetic interventions, or disordered eating practices. Some may not identify this as drug use in the usual sense. They may see it as biohacking, self-improvement, or simply doing what is necessary to compete. That makes non-judgmental conversations essential. If professionals dismiss this as vanity or just gym talk, they may miss the deeper distress and risk behavior underneath it. Looksmaxxing also connects to a broader ecosystem of online ideologies, often described through the language of pills. The red pill generally refers to a worldview built around competitive self-improvement, but it often drifts into distrust of women, anxiety about status, and misogyny. The black pill is darker. It is rooted in fatalism, the belief that genetics determine everything, that appearance fixes your romantic and social destiny, and that most people cannot meaningfully escape their biological limitations. This is the worldview most likely to feed extreme looksmaxxing and despair. The blue pill usually refers to mainstream social norms and the rejection of these more cynical or extreme online ideologies, though in many online communities it is mocked as naive. And the white pill represents something more hopeful: resilience, perspective, healthy self-improvement, and the belief that change is possible without collapsing into obsession or nihilism. These categories are not fixed identities. People move between them. A young man may start with ordinary fitness content, drift toward red pill ideas about status and attraction, then slide into black pill despair after rejection, loneliness, or mental health decline. But the reverse can also happen. With the right support, people can move toward healthier and more grounded ways of thinking. That is why this issue deserves serious attention from mental health services, addiction professionals, youth workers, educators, and anyone working with young people. When someone repeatedly talks about being too ugly, about needing to ascend, about facial flaws, ratings, genetics, or the idea that life is over because of how they look, those are not comments to brush aside. They may be clues pointing toward a much larger online ecosystem shaping their self-worth. Ultimately, Looksmaxxing sits at the crossroads of mental health, image culture, masculinity, drug use, and digital influence. For some, it offers a sense of control. For others, it offers community. But for many, it becomes a way of coping with insecurity by turning the self into a permanent project of correction. And that is the hidden pressure here. This is not simply about vanity. It is about identity, belonging, and the intense social pressure to become desirable, competitive, and visible in an online world that constantly tells young people they are not enough. Thanks for listening.